Measures of position. In what place is this girl standing? Looking from the left, she is standing at the ninth place. What about in school? What is your position with respect to your classmates? Do you rank first in the class? I guess so. It is very rewarding to receive a medal at the end of the school year, right? We're talking of your rank because we're talking about measures of position. What are these? What are measures of position? Measures of position are used to locate a specific data in relation to the rest of the data. There are three measures of position. One is quartile, next is decile, and last is the percentile. Quartiles are the three score points that divide a distribution into 4 equal parts. Deciles are the 9 score points that divide a distribution into 10 equal parts. Percentiles are the 99 score points that divide a distribution into 100 equal parts. Can you distinguish the three? Let's explain more. For quartile, say we have 100% distribution. Quartiles will divide this distribution into 4 equal parts such that each part is 25%. And the three score points are the quartile 1, quartile 2, and quartile 3. For the decile, say we have 100% distribution. Decile divide the distribution into 10 equal parts such that each part consists of 10%. And the 9 score points are the decile 1, decile 2, decile 3, decile 4, and so on. For the percentile, say we have 100%. So the percentile divides this distribution into 100 equal parts. To divide this distribution into 100 equal parts, it needs more space. It will consist of a lot of divisions to show it. But there is another way to show. One is to divide this distribution into 10 equal parts, such that each part is equal to 10%, and each score point is equal to percentile 10, percentile 20, percentile 30, percentile 40, and so on. We will try to look at the decile and percentile. Decile 1 is equivalent to percentile 10. Decile 2 is equivalent to percentile 20. Decile 3 is equivalent to percentile 30. Decile 4 is equivalent to percentile 40, and so on. If you want to show a specific 99 score points that divide a distribution into 100 equal parts, it will be like this. So I have here shown 1% until 14%. So P1 until P13 are the 13 score points that divide this distribution. And if you want to continue until 100%, you will end up to 99 score points. Another distribution of percentile. We can also opt to divide the 100% distribution into 4 equal parts, such that each part consists of 25%, where each score point is the percentile 25, percentile 50, and percentile 75. Now, I have here shown the quartile because as we look at here, quartile divides the distribution into 4 equal parts. Each part consists of 25%, and it is equivalent to each of the part of the percentile here. Why is that so? Because quartile 1 is equivalent to percentile 25, and quartile 2 is equivalent to percentile 50. Now, when we go back to the decile, quartile 2, decile 5, and percentile 50 has equivalent value. For the quartile 3, it is equivalent to percentile 75. What does it mean by the value identified by the quartile 1, decile 5, or percentile 75? For the quartile 1, we have the 3 score points, quartile 1, quartile 2, and quartile 3. If we have the value of the quartile 1, what does it mean? This means that 25% of the data has a value less than or equal to the quartile 1. Now, We're talking about 100% of the data, but for the quartile 1, we only identify the 25%. Where is the 75%? The 75% of the data has this value greater than the quartile 1. For quartile 2, this means that 50% of the data has a value less than or equal to the quartile 2, and the other half, or the other 50% of the data, has a value greater than the quartile 2. For quartile 3, 75% of the data has a value less than or equal to the quartile 3, and the remaining 25% has a value greater than the quartile 3. For the decile, say we get the decile 2, that means 20% of the data has a value less than or equal to the decile 2. The remaining data is 80%, therefore 80% of the data has a value greater than the decile 2. Next, say we have decile 5. So that's 50% of the data has a value less than or equal to the decile 5. 50% of the data has a value greater than the decile 5 because it's half. For the percentile, if we get the percentile 30s, then 30% of the data has a value less than or equal to the percentile 30, and 70% of that data has a value greater than percentile 30. If we have percentile 60, then 65% of the data has a value less than or equal to the percentile 60. And the rest of the 40% has a value greater than percentile 60. Let's go to the formula. For quartile, decile, and percentile, as we look at the formula, it has the same pattern. What is different is the position, of course. So we have here Q sub k, the position of the quartile, D sub k for the decile, the position of the decile, and for the percentile, the position of the percentile, of course. So next to that is the denominator. So we have the formula Q sub k is equal to k times the quantity of n plus 1 all over 4. So for quartile, we have all over 4. For decile, we have 10. And for percentile, we have 100. So why do we have here this denominator 110 and 4? As we go back to the definition, quartile divides the score points into 4 equal parts. So that's why we have here 4. For the decile, I divide the distribution into 10 equal parts. So that's why we have here 10. And for the percentile, it divides the distribution into 100 equal parts. So we have here the variables. So n, that means the number of the population, and k is the position of the quartile. Say, for example, if we want to calculate the quartile 1, so we also have to change this k to 1 and also this k here. Let's have some examples here. So what is the first quartile, 5th decile, and 75th percentile of the scores 21, 30, 10, 7, 24, 27, 19, 24, 11, 26, and 19. So indicated here is the number of population, which is 11. So there are 11 scores here. So that's n. And we also have here first quartile, that's equivalent to quartile 1. 5th decile equivalent to decile 5. And 75th percentile is equivalent to percentile 75. Let's solve for the quartile 1. And here let's solve for the decile 5 and solve for the percentile 75. So let's first solve the quartile 1. First thing that we need to remember is to arrange the data in ascending order. That means we need to arrange it from lowest to highest score or value. Next, apply the formula. So we have here QK equals K times the quantity of n plus 1 all over 4, because we're solving here for the quartile. So our denominator is 4. This is what I've told you just a while ago. we need to change the K into what position are we looking for. So we're looking for the quartile 1. So we substitute 1 to K. It's equal to 1 times the quantity of n plus 1. So our n here is 11. So plus 1 all over 4. So let's simplify. Add the numbers inside the parentheses. So we have here 11 plus 1 equals 12 multiplied by 1. And that's still equal to 12. So divide it by 4. So that's equal to 3. So what does it mean by this value that we get here? This means that the value of the quartile 1 is located on the third position of our arranged data. Therefore, quartile 1 is equal to 11. To emphasize, why do you have here third? Because the value that we get here is not the exact value of the quartile 1, but the position of the quartile 1. Next, we have to solve for the decile 5. Again, arrange the data and apply the formula for finding the decile of ungrouped data. D sub k equals k times the quantity of n plus 1 all over 10. Since we want to solve for the decile 5, then we substitute 5 into our k. So we have here d sub 5 equals 5 times the quantity of n plus 1. So our n is 11. So we have 11 plus 1 over 10. So let's simplify. 12 times 5 all over 10. And 5 times 12 is 60 over 10. And that's equal to 6. So again, this is not the value of our decile 5, but the position. So this means that the value of the decile 5 is located at the 6th position. And therefore, our decile 5 is 21. Next, solve for the percentile 75. So again, arrange the data in ascending order and apply the formula for finding the percentile of ungrouped data. P sub k equals k times the quantity of n plus 1 all over 100. 100 because we're looking for the percentile. Next, substitute. So we'll look for the percentile 75. So substitute 75 to k. So P sub 75 equals 75. That's the quantity of n plus 1. Again, our n is 11. So we have 11 plus 1 all over 100. Next, P75 equals 75 times 12. So we just illustrate here, simplifying the numbers inside the parentheses. So that's all over 100. Next, 75 times 12 equals 900. It's over 100, which is equal to 9. 9 is not the value, but the position of our P75 or the percentile 75. So this means that the value of our P75 is located at the 9th position. Therefore, P75 equals 26. So for the interpretation, so in the quartile 1, we have our value of 11. So what does it mean by this? Just a while ago, we illustrated what does it mean when we get the quartile 1, the quartile 2, the decile 5, or the percentile 80. So now that we already solved and we have the values, so let's apply those knowledge to how do we interpret the data. So the result that we get from the quartile 1, which is equal to 11, means that 25% of the students score less than or equal to 11. So this is now the value of our Q1 or quartile 1, while the 75% scored greater than 11. So where are these values in our data? So this are the 25% of our data, and the rest of these values are the 75%, which is greater than 11. For the decile 5, so we get the value here. Decile 5 is equal to 21. So what does it mean by this? This result means that 50% of the students score less than or equal to 21, while the other half or the other 50% score greater than 21. So that means that the students that scored from 21 and lower are the 50%, and the students that scored more than that are the other 50%. For the percentile 75, we have the value of 26. So that means that 75% of the students score less than or equal to 26. So less than. So from 26 down. So those are students that belongs to the 75% or the P75. So while the other remaining scores or students belongs to the 25% of the data. That's all for this video. I hope you learned something from this. If you have some questions, just comment down on the comment section and I will make another video to expound this topic. And if you find this video helpful, please click the subscribe button and hit the notification bell to keep updated for my new uploads. Thanks for watching.